Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about my views on the MicroStrategy valuation. Now, first and foremost, guys, it's crazy what's been happening right now with MicroStrategy. Just a few months ago, it was 120 bucks a share. Now, it's over 220 bucks a share. And it's just risen like crazy. I mean, this is really one of the coolest stories ever because this is post-split and it's still making these run-ups. And it's very few stocks have seen appreciations this large. Maybe Nvidia, maybe a few other high-flying tech stocks, but essentially, this is something that we don't see that much of, and a lot of it's because of Bitcoin and the community behind it and the prospects for the future of MicroStrategy. Now, I think it's important to really look at things because it's like, hey, things are pretty sky high right now. Should I allocate some money into it? And by the time everyone in the town talks about how great of a trade it was, it's probably too late to get in. And we also have to ask ourselves, why are we allocated to Bitcoin in the first place? Are we allocated because we just want to make a quick buck? Or are we allocated because of the intrinsic value, the properties of what Bitcoin offers? And it's so easy right now to just try to make a quick buck and cash out and kind of move forward with life. And I know a lot of us, that's how we look at trading or just being in finance in the first place. But I really urge everyone to look at finance and assets at a deeper level. So right now, the NAV Premium is 2.5 times the price of Bitcoin, meaning MicroStrategy, if you look at the valuations, if you look at the stock, it's saying that the price of Bitcoin is above $200,000 per coin, when in reality, the price of Bitcoin is only $66,000 per coin. So there's this huge discrepancy. And it's really good to ask yourself, why? Why is that? And I can go in this podcast, I'm going to actually go into all the reasons of why and some of my sentiment on it, my view, and if I'm allocated to it or not. Now, I'll tell you this, guys. We all know why things trade above and below net asset value. We've seen it. I mean, MicroStrategy before has traded below net asset value, as well as a lot of the minor stocks as well. And I think there's a lot of hype and speculation right now. That's one of the biggest drivers. People posting a tweet, videos going up, people getting really rich, all because of what they've allocated to. And essentially, with all this hype and speculation, it drives even more hype and speculation. And essentially, there will be someone caught holding the bag down the road because eventually things can't be sustained, right? We're not going to see the price of Bitcoin. I hope it goes up, but it's not going to happen in the short term. And eventually it's going to try to, it may not keep that premium, right? We got to be honest with ourselves. It may not keep that premium. So another reason why it's trading well above the NAV is I think a lot of people are getting short squeezed right now. A lot of people went into the stock trying to short it, trying to show, hey, look at this NAV premium. I'm going to try to, take it down, and they ended up getting wrecked like you've never seen before. A lot of these people, they're trying to be smart, and it really was a bad trade. And these short squeezes, they happen. We saw it with GameStop. GameStop went from $3 a share to $450 a share. And a lot of hedge funds, they went bust, or they did go bust, but they got bailed out, essentially. So, I think there were a lot of short squeezes that have been driving this. And, I think there's a lot of sentiment right now across the board that MicroStrategy will be added to the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ. It's just a few $1 billion away from being added. And, I think this is going to bring a huge flurry of capital, right? Because when it's added into the NASDAQ, all the passive investors or the mutual fund investors, all the people allocating to their 401k, they're going to be allocating 1/500th of that towards MicroStrategy. And it's going to cause even more buying of Bitcoin because MicroStrategy is essentially putting all their capital, all their money towards buying Bitcoin. So I think this is something else to think about as it comes to the stock and why it's trading so much above net asset value. Another thing is it's a very liquid stock that has a lot of high volume. We're seeing sovereign wealth funds allocating money to it. And this kind of level of capital allocation is good because what you're actually seeing is you're seeing this heightened level of trust. And in a world of don't trust, verify, I know that's weird to say, but you're seeing a lot of these big institutional players put money towards it. So I think it's also causing other wealth funds, other big money managers and allocators to be allocating capital towards it as well, because it's an alternative to the Bitcoin spot ETFs. So, and speaking of that, it's an alternative to the Bitcoin spot ETF that trades above net asset value, that has a Bitcoin maxi at the helm. So there's a lot of reasons right now where we're seeing the Bitcoin ETF be kind of a worse option than MicroStrategy, at least right now in the short term. So another option of this is that it can actually be accessed in the masses. So, let's just say I'm not very technologically savvy. I can easily go into my Robinhood, or I'll just do another exchange, E-Trade, or Charles Schwab, or any of those old school brokerage houses, and I can buy MicroStrategy. Certain exchanges don't offer Bitcoin, direct Bitcoin, so it's just a conduit or another avenue to be able to buy Bitcoin where otherwise you couldn't. So, what's my view of this play? I'll tell you guys, I wish I was allocated more to it, just like I'm sure a lot of people listening to this wish they were allocated more to it. But what I'll tell you is this. I have some exposure. Nothing I'm saying is financial advice, but I just want to remember this. It's not my keys, not my coins. And what's the point of having Bitcoin, right? The point of Bitcoin is to move your money through time and space without some central party being able to confiscate it or take it away. I'm not a big fan of MicroStrategy or any ETF or any of those things. I like it for price exposure, but I don't like it because I had a situation on the Japanese yen carry trade situation. The exchange went down. The government can pull the plug on your money whenever they want. They can't do that with Bitcoin. They cannot do that with Bitcoin. So I remember not my keys, not my coins, because history repeats itself. We're going to see a situation where all the central gatekeepers can shut down your access to your money again. It's going to happen. We don't know when, whether it's tomorrow, 6 months, 30 years, that can happen. And I think, that's another thing is like the premium is really high, but it's not your Bitcoin. So it's like you're still holding fiat. You're still in the fiat rails. I think it's a good proxy, but I don't think it's good if you want to be self-sovereign, if you want to be independently wealthy, if you want to be able to operate outside of the system. So that's how I look at it. Look at it like a casino, except you're going to get taxed a lot. Everything is tracked through those brokerages. Play the scenarios in your head regarding a government confiscation. I think if we see Kamala at the helm, not saying that will happen, but if we do, a government confiscation could happen, right? She's a puppet. She's owned by the banksters. She's owned by the New World Order. We know if she gets elected, we can see a 6102 again. So ask yourself, do you really want to be holding MicroStrategy if that were to happen? And, also ask yourself, there's more risk on this than most people can think of. And some of that is hackers can attack the honeypot where MicroStrategy's Bitcoin is stored. If you have self-custody, you are responsible for the storage of it. MicroStrategy, what if there's a corrupt actor? What if they place it with a bankrupt institution? What if they lose the keys? What if something happens or someone can't be trusted? Point I'm trying to say is there's a lot of things that could happen with things outside of your control. And specifically, this is outside of a lot of our controls. Now, another thing is, do you want freedom money that you can allocate anywhere in the world? at any point in time, and you can take it with you? Or do you want something on a brokerage that shows some digits and shows that it's yours, but it's really fiat? It's like the Wizard of Oz. You're seeing your money there, but is it really yours? And it's not. Like, everything is fractionally reserved. Everything is, the moment, guys, and I'm speaking through the heart here, the moment I wanted to make a trade, on the Japanese carry trade day, if you guys remember that, my brokerage was down for 4 hours. That was the moment I wanted to make a trade the most, and I couldn't, and I'm speaking right now, guys. It's not anything that's written down on paper. It's not anything that's explicit. It's just something heart to heart. I'm telling you that at any moment in time, the exchange can get pulled, and you're out of luck. And I know people that got impacted by the Bank of America thing, and they're still facing some issues with getting their money 2 weeks later, right now. So really, really ask yourself this, like, do you want freedom money, or do you want something that's in a centralized ledger? I would say this, do your research too. Like, I'm not telling you not to buy it. I have exposure to it. Maybe I'll buy more if the price comes down. Maybe I won't, but it could go up to 1,000 a share again, and it could go for another split, you know? Or it could go back down and return to net asset value or trade below the net asset value. We don't know. But I do think Michael Saylor is a net benefit to Bitcoin. He has announced plans to potentially make a Bitcoin bank, and who better than him given his large supply of Bitcoin? So really ask yourself, why are you in Bitcoin? And if you want price exposure, I think there's a lot of trades that are just like a lot of opportunities. Like, there's a lot of I'm on bitcointreasuries.net, and you can see, you know, a lot of companies actually hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, like Fold, Semler Scientific, CleanSpark, Hut 8, Tesla, Coinbase, right? You know, there's other proxies to get exposure to Bitcoin. I think MicroStrategy's been a great play, but just because it's been a great play does it mean it will continue to be one? I honestly think it could. It really could. Or it may not. I don't know. I'm just trying to give you guys the pros, the cons, the risks, why it's trading at a premium, and I want you guys to be able to make that decision and help make it so you're, you know, a little bit more informed on the potential downside. But overall, guys, I urge you to make sure that you get exposure to real Bitcoin through Strike or Fold, or whatever avenue you want to buy from. Just make sure to self-custody. Make sure to keep buying real Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, we don't want to have paper exposure. We don't want to get in another situation like we saw with Celsius, FTX, or any of those companies. We want to be in a situation where we're well prepared, and we understand that if you don't hold the keys to your Bitcoin, it's not your Bitcoin, it's someone else's. So guys, I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.